Let's talk about how we shop for our hobby and how I might have spent an unexpected bonus at the yarn store and online. Get some moisture on these bad boys. Dry as a desert. Probably should oil my cuticles as well. Hey y'all, welcome to the Flash Your Knits podcast, episode 2. I actually didn't procrastinate and got this one posted in the time frame that I wanted. It did not take 3 years like the first episode. My name is Jen with 2 N's. I am a native Texan living in Utah. In fact, I've actually lived in Utah longer than I ever lived in Texas, but I'm pretty sure it's required by Texas law that if you were born and raised in Texas, you are required to tell everyone with ears that you are in fact a Texan. I didn't write the rules. I did have a couple of people ask questions about where I lived because I mentioned Texas and then snow and mountains. And then I had another person mention that they couldn't pinpoint my accent. And that is the story as to why, because I lived in Texas my whole life until I was about 21. And then I moved to Utah. So there's a mishmash of accent going on. I still say y'all for any group of people. And I say fixin' too. And then there's some other fun Southern sayings that I've never really been able to get rid of. Before I forget to mention it, everything I talk about, patterns, yarn, etc. in the video will be posted in the description of the video. And then I will be announcing the winner of the yarn journal at the end of the video. Before we get into all the fun yarny stuff, I want to take a couple minutes and talk about what happened with my first video, the first episode. When I posted it, I was very apprehensive. I think I mentioned in the last video that it took me about 3 years to actually pull the trigger because for various reasons, right? It's a lot of effort. There's editing. I'm putting this, even though it's a small piece of my life, I'm putting it out there on the internet for anybody to scrutinize or talk about. It's just, it feels really weird. And then I was like, you know what? Calm down. Not that many people are going to see it. You're a brand new creator. Just chill the F out. So I published it. I kind of walked away from it, let it alone, looked at it the next day and was like, what the heck is going on? That video now has about 10,000 views. And I went from 0 subscribers to 2,000 subscribers, which I didn't really have a goal on subscribers or anything like that. But I'm just shocked at like what happened. So apparently YouTube is very kind to new creators right now. So I guess if you've been thinking about starting a channel, it's a good time to do it because I have no idea why it got pushed to so many people. But it did. And so here we are. And as it turns out, around 40% of you are watching it on a TV versus a phone or an iPad, which is probably on some big ass TV in somebody's living room in 4K. So that's a little terrifying to think about, but hey, these wrinkles were earned. So I was shocked about how many people it got pushed out to. I was shocked at how many people liked it and actually watched the whole thing. And then I was very shocked at how unbelievably kind and encouraging all the comments were. And I know I was doing a giveaway, so I'm going to get more comments than a regular video. But people could have just commented yarn journal, but they didn't. I mean, some people did, and that's fine. That's all I asked people to do. But so many nice things that people said. I was just like, holy crap, there are nice people out there. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who watched it. Thanks YouTube for kicking it out to everybody. Thanks for all the kind comments. And I'll actually mention some of the comments here in a second. Some of them had questions and some of them were just kind of fun that I can comment on or whatever. And I like when people have a channel and they engage with the comments. I just think it's a fun way to interact with the people that are watching your videos. Also, another unexpected thing, thank you to the people who bought my hat pattern. Not expecting that at all. I literally showed it because it was an FO and that was kind of it. But thanks, that's cool. I guess I really better get those DK instructions added since so many people bought it. So thank you. Okay, here are some of the comments from the first video. I don't have them directly quoted or anything because sometimes, in some cases, a lot of people said similar things. But apparently, a lot of you also hate when people tap on shit when they do the, oh, look at this thing. So I was like, should we start a club? There's a lot of us that hate that. Um, so that was kind of funny that so many people mentioned it in the comments. I did have a couple of people mention that they do not care for swearing in podcasts and that if someone swears, they will unsubscribe or not watch, which I totally respect that. I am not for everyone, and that is okay. But you're probably going to hear some swears here and there. I'm not over here cussing like a sailor or anything, but you're going to hear it every once in a while. And so if that is not for you, just know that that will possibly happen in episodes on this channel. Michelle Law 7550 said, I just discovered you and I was totally shocked when you said you have 3 adult kids. You don't look old enough. I thought you were in your early 30s. Love the video. Thanks for your work. Thank you for the compliment. I am not in my early 30s. I am 47 for the 2nd year in a row. I guess it's just natural fillers from all the bacon that I eat. It kind of helps, you know, fill in the wrinkles. But no, I am 47 and thought I was 47 on my last birthday, but apparently can't do math. So this year, in 2025, I thought I was turning 48. And then I did some calculations. Nope, still 47. So I got to be 47 for 2 years. I am going to not say this correctly. Fionat 310 or Fiona T probably. Fiona T 310. That's probably what it is. She says, thanks for your video. You presented your content well, speaking at a good pace, and we're not rambly or repetitive. That is because of editing. And then she asks, are you a school teacher? No, I am not. School teachers, they are very special people that have capabilities that I do not possess in any way. I am a very impatient teacher. Unless I'm teaching knitting or crochet, I'm very patient with that because I'm ready to just recruit anybody who wants to learn to do it. But for other things, I'm not patient with teaching. And so it would not be good for the children for me to be a teacher. There were about 10 comments or so that mentioned that they liked the name of the podcast or thought it was funny or whatever. And I love comedy. I love humor. I love a play on words. And my husband is the one who gets the credit for the name. It was before the YouTube channel. I've been FlashYourKnits on Instagram for quite a long time. But I was like, I need a name that's memorable and kind of cheeky and fun. And so he actually came up with that. And that's how FlashYourKnits came to be. There were so many comments saying like, oh, you're natural. I can't believe this is your first episode. That is also thanks to editing. If I had not edited that video, you would have seen me repeat the same thing over and over and kind of stare off into space, forgetting what I was saying while I was saying it. There was a lot of strange hand movements going on. I mean, I can tell you, it does 100% does not feel natural in any way. And just thank goodness for editing software. Das Empress asked, how often will you be podcasting? My goal is once a month, but I might sprinkle some things in between here and there when I have time. With my work schedule and the fact that it gets dark so early, makes it a little harder to film, but time's about to change and then we'll be dealing with it being daylight at 10 o'clock at night. So I'll have a lot more time to record then. But my commitment to myself is to try to do an episode every month. Okay, let's move on to the fun yarny things. First off, what am I wearing? I am wearing my Woolen Affair t-shirt from a Woolen Affair that I got in October. It's a cute t-shirt. I like that it's thin. Still too hot for me to wear knits. I have my Eva cardigan. I can't. Everything is backwards. My Eva cardigan is right here. And if I were to get chilly, I would put it on. But right now, my window is wide open and it's warm in here. So you might see a little bit of me fanning my face because it's already starting to turn red from being hot. So why does water taste so much better when it's in a Dolly Parton cup? I don't know. All right, let's talk about some finished objects. And I only have one that I finished since the last episode, but I'm going to show 2 because it's only episode 2. So I have other things that I've made that I can show off. So this one I made last year, actually in February. So it's been almost a year since I made it. But this is my No Frills Cinderella Sparkle sweater. I loved every minute of making this. Let me see. I have my notes because I can't remember a dang thing. So was it fun to make? yes, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it a fun factor of 8. And it's because of the sparkles. Like it was just sparkling at me while I was knitting it. And so I loved it. It was also really easy to knit, so I could watch my shows and things like that while I was working on it. I was actually out of work for a surgery. I was on FMLA for 6 weeks from a surgery. And so I was actually able to knit this thing in 3 weeks because I didn't have anything else to do and I couldn't clean or anything. I couldn't lift more than 10 pounds. And so I used 10 balls of Sandnes Garn Double Sunday and 9 balls of Lang. I don't know how to pronounce this. It looks like it might be French. Paillettes. Anyway, the sparkle stuff. It's called Mega Bling on Crafty Jackalop's website. That's who I bought it from. But yeah, it was the perfect match for this Sandnes Garn color. I cannot remember the name of the colorway for this yarn. In the clouds, in the sky, something like that. It'll be on the screen. But yeah, I loved making it. I thought it was awesome. You know that you might be having a midlife career crisis when you go back to work after a surgery and you're like, what other organs can I have removed so I can have 6 weeks off of work? If I happen to remember or track how much I spent on something, I'll share it. I don't keep track of it, especially if I've pulled something that's been in my stash for a long time and I knit with it. I won't remember how much it costs. But this sweater, because you're holding, the sparkly thread double with the Sandnes Garn, turned out to be $279. That's a lot of money. It's less painful when you buy things over time because I didn't buy everything all at once, but on this one in particular, typically I tend to purchase things in like feast or famine mode, unless it's a club like my blanket I talked about last year. But this one I just happened to buy the yarn and then didn't know what I was going to do with it, and then bought the sparkles later, and so it was a little less painful. But seeing it on paper is kind of painful. Would I knit this again? Yes, but I would change some things. First of all, if I were to knit with sparkles again, I will never put sparkles in a collar. That was so irritating on my neck. So I can wear this, but I need to wear it with a collared shirt because the only time I've ever worn it was without a collared shirt, and I just had a rash across my neck. So I wouldn't do that again. And then the other thing is, if you can see, it's not super long. And I am not into the cropped thing. Okay. I have situations I want fully covered. I need the whole sweater. I want the whole thing. But I was so happy to finish it. I'm like, this will probably block and stretch out. It did not. This yarn actually holds its shape really well. So it ended up being a little too cropped for me. So if I made another one, I would make it longer to cover all the things that I want to keep to myself. I have this, I thought it'd be kind of fun for any pattern that I've made to, will I flash it or will I stash it? Will I actually like wear it, or am I going to put it away or give it to someone else? So this one, flash it or stash it. This one's a stash it just because it's shorter than I would like, but it's still a really nice sweater that can be worn with a collared shirt. And so I will likely gift this to someone. Okay, my next FO is my Norma beanie. Hopefully that will focus. And it was made out of Wool Dreamers Manchalope wool. So this hat is very warm. By the time you get to the double brim, it's not double, it's quadruple, because this hat, well, I'll show it to you first and then I'll pull it apart. But probably the warmest hat I've ever made. It's so thick, and anybody in northern Canada need a beanie because it's not cold enough here for me to wear this. But super cute hat. It went really fast because it's bulky weight. So I did the Wool Dreamers held double. Wool Dreamers is unspun wool, so it's warm like Icelandic wool, but it's way less scratchy. Like I have no problem with it touching my skin. So, and I have pretty sensitive skin, so I wouldn't want this on my neck per se, but wearing it around my ears and on my head is fine. The construction is kind of muscle burrow-esque in that you tuck it inside itself. So you only do the color work where you need to because the other is going to be hidden. But this thing is very, very warm. I used 382 yards of the main color, 35 yards of the blue, and 15 yards of the white color. So, and it's pretty, I would say, beginner friendly color work. Not necessarily beginner knitter friendly, but beginner color work knitter friendly. This took me about 9 days to make. Obviously, I wasn't knitting on it consistently, but from the date I started to the date I finished, it was about 9 days. And in my opinion, this was free because this yarn I had purchased for another project that was finished and this was left over. So that makes this free. That's how that works. Would I knit it again? Yes, for someone else. This was initially going to be for me, and I didn't realize, I did not read through the pattern before knitting it, okay? And so I didn't realize that it was going to be quadruple thick. So yes, I would knit it again for someone else, but probably not for myself because it'd be too warm. Flash it or stash it. This particular item will be gifted to someone just because, like I said, it's too warm for me. So fun, I'd say I'd give it like, I mean, I don't know, 6 or 7 out of 10. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to work on this beanie, but I didn't hate it either. So, oh, and I forgot to say who it's by. My favorite things knitwear is who designed this. All right, let's talk about whips. I did cast on a lot of things in January because I'm a grown-up and I can do what I want. This one actually cast on December 29th, so not in January, but this will be my Lemonade Fade blanket. So I'm starting with the yellow color and I'm just doing a seed stitch border. Hopefully you can see that, maybe. That you can probably see that. Doing a seed stitch border, and then once I get it to the thickness I want, I'll just do stockinette with the border on the sides, and then I'll knit until this color runs out, and then I'll switch. I have a cute little charm on there that is from Littlest Charm Co. because I'm easily influenced, and I saw someone else had it and thought I needed it. It's super cute. Her charms are pretty good quality too, so I haven't ever had an issue with any of them coming apart, and so yeah, they're fun. So I'd check her out. The other colors in this kit are here. So I will be knitting the stripes in these colors and we'll fade it up. And why did I cast this one on? I wanted something bright and happy to work on when it was gloomy outside. So that's pretty much it. And I love knitting blankets. I like to have a potato chippy project or two that I don't really have to look at or anything while I'm working on it. I am knitting this one with a combo of styles. So my border, I will knit English style because I get better tension that way. And then I will knit the knit rows, since this is going to be in stockinette, I'll knit the knit rows continental and I will purl the purl rows English style. I have found that that helps me not row out as much in stockinette. So next is a doodle pattern. I knit a shawl with this kit a while ago and I had enough yarn left to make a doodle cowl. This is also Moonglow Yarn Co. No, I don't only use Moonglow Yarn Co., but I do have a lot of it and it's one of my favorite yarns, so you're probably going to hear about it a lot. My gosh, I got tangles everywhere here. So I started my doodle cowl and it's always autumn in my heart. So the fact that I'm working on an autumn themed cowl in winter doesn't bother me at all. So far I have the leaf doodle, the moon faces, the apple. I am dying over these sheep, and then some pumpkin and gourd. And this looks a little lumpy right now because I do knit my color work English and continental, so I can go faster, and it makes it kind of lumpy. So that'll block out though, right? I also cast this one on December 29th, and I think I'm using 3.5mm needles. Well, I can't see that up close, so I don't know what size needles they are. It's one of the 3mm range needles. But yeah, hopefully I can get this finished in this month or maybe by March, because every time I think to knit something that I want for the season that it's in, I don't think about it until I'm in that season. And then I don't have the thing. So this way, I will have my cowl when autumn rolls around. My next whip is the Weekend Hat by Petite Knit. And I basically just wanted a basic ribbed beanie, and I wanted a green beanie. And I loved this green color that I bought. And so, yeah, pretty simple, just a ribbed hat. And apparently the focusing is going to be a problem. There we go. But yeah, I just wanted a simple green hat. So I'm knitting it in English style. I can't remember if I said what yarn I'm using. Sandnes Garn Double Sunday. That might have been a repeat. I'm knitting it on 3.5 millimeter needles, and I am knitting it English style because I get better tension in ribbing that way. And I started it on January 8th, if anybody cares when I cast it on. My next whip is the Step by Step cardigan by someone whose name is on the tip of my tongue and I cannot remember, and I did not write it down, but I will put it on the screen. That's probably going to happen several times in this video. I need better notes. But this is the Step by Step cardigan. And I had a bunch of Hedgehog Fibers Tweety yarn in my stash that I wanted to use. So I was looking for a pattern where I could use it. So it's kind of hard to show the front because it wants to roll open. But this is where I'm at. I've split for sleeves and I am about, I don't know, 6 or so inches past splitting for sleeves. Also very potato chippy. And because this is bulky or Aran, it's meant to be Aran weight. And so Hedgehog Fibers Tweety is a pretty thin DK. So I'm holding it double and it's pretty close to gauge. So I'm not worried about it being too thick, but yeah, it's fun. It's kind of confetti and has some fun speckles in it and everything. I wanted an easy cardigan to work on. I'm kind of really liking cardigans lately. So I'm probably slapping that on the mic and making all kinds of noise. So, but yeah, step by step, I hope to finish this one by the end of March because I'd like to be able to wear it before it gets too hot. But this is something I could wear going on walks at night when it's really chilly. So this is knit on 5.5 millimeter needles for the body. I am knitting it English and continental. So I'm knitting continental on the knit rows and English on the purl rows to try to keep the rowing out under control. And I started it on January 12th. All right, the next whip makes me a little sad. As I mentioned in the last video, my favorite player in the NFL is Josh Allen, but my favorite team and the team I've been rooting for the last almost 20 years is the Denver Broncos. We made it to the playoffs. We had the first round bye, and I was like, okay, before the first playoff game, I'm going to start a Denver Broncos project. I started it. We actually went to that game. They won. So I was so devastated for Josh Allen, but I was so happy for the Broncos. And then Bo Nix breaks his foot second to last game of the play. So we're going into the AFC Championship. I say we like I'm on the team. We're going into the AFC Championship with a backup quarterback. So I was like, okay, I need to knit on this some more. Maybe I can have it finished before the game. That did not happen. But I did get it started. And this is another doodle cowl. And I'm doing the throwback Denver Broncos colors, the brighter orange and the brighter blue. But we've got mountains at the bottom because it's Colorado. We've got a trophy, and I got through the football helmet. But just like the autumn doodle, I have time to get this done before the NFL season starts next year. So when we go to colder games, I will have my nice warm Denver Broncos cowl. They did not make it to the Super Bowl. So next year, hopefully, fingers crossed. Oh, and I am using Sandnes Garn Double Sunday for this as well. I don't know if I remember the colors. I think the orange is called That Orange. This might be electric blue. And I'm pretty certain the white is putty. But again, I didn't take a note. So, okay, I have 3 more. Next is the Float Shawl, also by someone whose name I can't remember because I didn't write it down, but I will put it on the screen. I love this project. So when I went to Rhinebeck, the only yarn I bought the whole time I was there was the Assigned Pooling Deluxe Sock yarn by a chick that knits in the Turtle Dove colorway. So this is what it looks like. And basically the pattern, you knit the gray, and then when you approach the colors, you do this fun little stitch. And so this is going to block out, I think, really nicely, but it's just fun. It's so random. And then, yeah, you just knit, knit, knit till you get to the color, and then switch up the stitch, and then you just keep going afterwards. So this will be a big triangle shawl, but I just thought this was a cool idea. And I mean, I've used yarn forever that has these characteristics, but never thought to do anything like this with it. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. I saw this shawl displayed at her booth at Rhinebeck, and I was like, I want to make that thing. And luckily she had that exact yarn and everything. So it takes 3 skeins of her deluxe sock, and I'm excited to have the finished object. This might be, if I go to Rhinebeck this year, this might be my Rhinebeck shawl. We'll see. I'm knitting it on 3mm needles. I think the pattern calls for 3.5, but I'm fully knitting this one continental style, which is very loose gauge for me. So I went down 0.5 millimeter on that one. And I cast it on January 16th. This was a good road tripping project when we were driving out to Denver. All right. I saw a new yarn that I was like, okay, that looks cool. I want to see how it knits up in a sock. Because if I'm knitting socks, there has to be cables or self-striping or something to keep me engaged, because I don't love knitting socks, but I love having knitted socks to wear. So this yarn is so fun. I'm probably going to mispronounce it. So this is Lana Grossa Meilenwit. I don't know if it's German. Seta. Let's see if we can get that. Yeah. And it's self-patterning yarn. So I am most of the way through my first sock. Is that not so fun? It's just self-patterning, and so it just does all the work for you. And it makes it a lot more fun to knit because you just want to keep going to see how it turns out. By the feel of it, it feels like it's going to be a pretty durable yarn. What is it made out of? It is virgin wool, polyamide, and silk. So the wool content is 55%, polyamide is 20% silk. So I'm going to guess these are going to be some pretty strong socks that I won't have to mend, which is good. The pattern that I'm using to knit these is the Vanilla Socks on Magic Loop by, I think, Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady. So I did make one modification though, because socks on my calf are usually fine based on pattern, but once you get down to the foot, I like 60 stitches in fingering weight. And so I just reduced it down to the 60 stitches for the foot portion. But other than that, I'm following it just as it is written, and I'm excited to wear these. I cast those on January 18th, and I'm knitting those continental style. Oh, and on 2.25 millimeter needles. Hopefully the next time you see my face, I have 2 socks. So I don't have the second sock syndrome problem, but I do have the problem where I just don't gravitate towards knitting socks because I don't find that knitting socks is very fun. It makes my hands cramp a little bit, but I really want those. All right, the very last one. We talked about it a little bit before. This is the All of the Lights cardigan by Joji Locatelli, and it may not look like I made any progress, but I am going to make along to knit 20 minutes a day on anything. That's all the make along is. And since this one requires so much focus, I'm now using this one during my 20 minutes of knitting. So I have added 4 rows to it, but it's still pretty short. And one day, maybe before I'm 50, I'll have a beautiful cabled All the Lights cardigan. And I mentioned this in the last video, but I am making this out of Moonglow Yarn Co. Merino DK in a very true red color. So I want my Mr. Rogers cardigan. One day I'll have it. I mentioned the make-along that I'm doing that is 20 minutes of knitting a day, and that's being hosted by my friend Erica. She's Lamore E Knots on Instagram, and it's very nice of her to host stuff. She hosts a fun knit along every year, and this year it's the yarn along, and so it doesn't matter what you're doing. It can be knitting, crocheting, weaving, spinning, anything with fiber, punch needle, whatever it is. It's just 20 minutes of working with fiber a day. The other make along that I will likely participate in this year, and it starts February 2nd, is Magpie Fibers Beav-a-long. So it's always going to make me chuckle. This is the bag I got from them last year. Big Beaver Energy. So basically, so there's a Facebook group to join, and you just have to knit or make, it's not knit, crochet, whatever, weave, make anything out of a Magpie Fibers beaver colorway. So there's like spicy beaver, eager beaver, bougie beaver, boysen beaver. There's all these beaver themed colorways, but I have some left over from a project that I did that I think I'm going to make a hat out of or something and participate in the Beav-a-long. So, and I have some beaver accoutrements to go with it. I have some like little beaver stitch markers and stuff. So that'll be fun. All right. Those are the whips. I'm tired of listening to myself talk already. So I guess you could call it the topic of this video. Because every podcast episode is going to have, you know, whips, FOs and all that kind of stuff. But then what else do we talk about? So in this episode, let's talk about how I got an unexpected bonus at work, which was very lovely. And instead of being responsible and, you know, putting it in a savings account, I went to the yarn store and I bought some things. I do tend to buy in bulk. I like to shop for my hobby like it's a trip to Costco. I will add things to a wish list. I'll think about things. I'll marinate on them for a while. But I don't always just buy something instantly because I like it. And so then bonus season comes around, or I've saved up for that thing or whatever, and then I'll just kind of go buy the things I want in bulk. Well, this unexpected bonus kind of allowed me to do that a little bit. And then as we were driving to Denver, my husband was like, are there any yarn stores in Wyoming? Because we go up through Wyoming to get to Denver. And he's like, are there any yarn stores in Wyoming you want me to stop at while we're on our way? And I was like, I don't know. Let me look. And so I did find a cute yarn store in Rock Springs, Wyoming called The Yarn and the Tail. And that is where the spending began, but it is not where it ended. So I will share with you the things that I have had my eye on, but haven't really purchased yet until now. And then there were some impulse things because there was some wool I found that I didn't even know existed. And it was unique enough that I was like, okay, I'm going to buy it. Okay, I have to move some things around because there's just a lot of stuff. So, okay. So first, we'll talk about what I bought at that cute yarn shop in Rock Springs, Wyoming. I walked in and apparently Rowan has come out with a new yarn that has sparkles in it. And they're subtle, so I don't think it's going to irritate me. And it's called Alpaca Sparkle. These are 50-gram balls, and they are 32% polyester, 23% alpaca, and 23% virgin wool. Oh, and 22% cotton. All right. It's meant to be, I think, Aran weight. It is pretty fluffy, so there is a shawl that I think I want to make that like everything else, cannot remember the name of. But I got 6 balls of that. Sorry about the crinkles. It's going to happen. I got that for that specific project that I can't remember the name of. And then I also got a couple of other things. While I was in her store, I checked out, I think 3 different times because I'd check out and I was waiting for my husband to come pick me up because he dropped me off and he was going to go check out some pawn stores or whatever. And, he didn't come back. And so I just kept buying more stuff. So it's really his fault. I got some more yarn cozies because this is going to be crinkly, which I know can be annoying, but we're just going to have to deal. So, I got some new yarn cozies. That's got a lot of reflection on it. So, oh, there we go. But I got those, and then I got cute little star ones. But I love these because it keeps my yarn from getting all over the place. So I got those. And then because apparently I'm into sparkles lately, she had this Make It Bloomchen. I don't know if that's how you say it. But it's this sparkly lavender yarn with teeny tiny little sparkles that you can hardly even feel. So I'm probably going to get some lavender yarn somewhere and make a fun little hat. So the next one, the yarn in the tail actually has like a lot of stuff on sale. And as of yesterday, when I looked at their website, they still did. So it's definitely worth checking them out. I'll put the link in the description, but it was 25% off of all Lantern Moon. And I do have a set of Lantern Moon needles, but they are 4-inch needles. And I have discovered over time that I prefer 5-inch needles. Since they were on sale, I got the set that has the smaller needle sizes in the 5-inch tips. So, I do know I love these needles because I've used Lantern Moon for quite a while. These are just a little longer, and their cases are actually really lovely. So, but yeah, I got those so that when I have really slippery yarn, I like to use wood needles, and now I have needles that will be comfortable. And then I got something that I didn't even know existed. Did you know that Knitter's Pride is not like in Europe, Knitter's Pride was called Knit Pro. Well, now it's Knit Pro everywhere. Well, they have come out with a crochet hook set that is the starter set. And if I can get this thing open, I'm going to show you what it looks like. I have not used them. So my next crochet project, which I need to pick what I'm going to do, I'm going to use them and see if they're any good to let you know, like, can I recommend them? At this point, I have no idea if I can recommend them. I just think they're cool looking and I wanted to give them a try. So they come in this little, let me smash that back in there, in this little case. Oh, and there's the little measuring tape. So it's got measuring tape, markers, scissors, and then there's this handle, and it's a wooden handle. Let me see if I can get one of these hooks out of here. So it's just interchangeable. So you have the wooden handle, and then you just screw the crochet tip in, and it's got this little grippy guy so that you can really make sure it's screwed on. Except I'm screwing it the wrong way. And yeah, and then there is a crochet hook to use that's interchangeable. So I'm going to give it a try and see if I like them. But I thought it was cool. And I do think it's going to probably be a little too short for my hand. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I thought they were cool. So, okay. That was my stop at that yarn shop. And then I went to the interwebs and decided, oh, I'm going to look at some other stuff. And I got this self-striping sock yarn by Freckled Whimsy. I loved the colors, and the colorway is utterly fabulous, which is super cute. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. But look at those. Adorable. So yeah, I got some of those. I love her. Her self-striping is probably my favorite. I can wear the crap out of these socks and they don't wear down very easily. So I love that. I don't know. I'd never heard of Twill and Print. I can't remember how I heard of them. It's probably an Instagram ad that came up and influenced me. But I love stitch markers and fun little trinkets. And so I got this cute Witchy Progress Keeper. And then this thing, just because it's a throwback, because it's a cassette tape, but it's a pin that is like a mixed tape, a row counter. I thought that was awesome. And I love witchy things. So that was kind of fun. I got those. And then we made it to Denver. And there was a yarn store in Denver called Blazing Star Ranch. And I was like, what an odd name for a yarn store. not odd when you realize that it's because the owner has a ranch and she has alpacas on there. And I bought fiber from her alpacas that come from her ranch. And I bought 4 balls of this to spin into yarn. And oh my word. So soft. Oh, it is so soft. I'm excited for this. I've never spun alpaca and I'm a very beginner spinner, so hopefully I don't destroy it, but super excited about it. What else? I think the last thing that I got in this shopping spree was a knitting light. My knitting light that I use often is this one. It's one that I got on Amazon. It goes around the neck, out, and every single time it does that, and it pulls my hair. So, and it's decent. Like it's not bad. I can link it below because I think it was like less than $20. The lighting on it is good. Lights up what I need to see. I will say it's heavy and it tends to want to do this and then just fall off the back of my neck. So, but it does do the bendy thing. However, I was like, well, I'm going to try the Lumos light. I had one of these in the past and I didn't love it. They have made some changes to it. I have to say it is a lot better than it was. The first one that I got it was back when they first came out, and it had like a micro USB charging port. And I'm like, what are we doing with micro USBs? Okay, I need a USB-C. And the one that I had, the arms on it wouldn't stay put, and they just kind of flopped everywhere, and it really annoyed me. And the way the LED lights would work, I don't know if this is going to work, but you see there's 2 lights in there. There's a warm and a cool tone, and you can have one on or the other or both. I don't love the way it lights things up when both are on, because there's just this weird line in the middle where it's like half your project is warm and half is cool. But they did improve the charging port. They improved the stability of the little legs or whatever, and they're longer. So if I were to put both of these on, you can see like it goes longer than the other one. So with this one, I'll take this off because it is still ripping my hair out. This one, and I was using this a lot since I bought it, but because they do hang down lower, and you can do kind of this situation so that if you are gifted in the chestal region, having them lay here, your boobs just kind of block the light. So with this one, the arms are long enough to come up and then down to light up what it is that you're working on. I can't say yet if I think that it's worth the extra money. So this one was $20, maybe a little less. And this one's $50. It is more comfortable. It is lighter weight. That other one is heavy. And like I said, it rips my hair out. But $50 is a lot. To be determined. But so far, I am enjoying it. So I do think if the more of these you buy, you get a discount on them. So like if you have a group of friends who want to go in and buy more, you can get them cheaper. But I will say that the light from Amazon does work just fine. And it's a lot cheaper. It's not as comfortable. And yes, it kind of pulls my hair, but to each their own. All right. If you have ever heard of Pacific Knit Co., she has a ton of cards, doodle decks that are little color work cards where you can use one of her base patterns and then use the cards to do your color work and plan out like what types of motifs you want on your pattern. I have been collecting these since she started making them. I had no idea how many I had, but I'm like, I've got to have a better way to organize these. I actually was on her website looking for something else and saw that she now has binders to store all of your doodle cards. So I had enough of them that I actually needed 2 binders because I've been collecting for a while. So I freaking love this thing. They're all just like right there, and I can flip through them, figure out what I want to plan for my color work stuff. And then they just go back in here and they're all consolidated into one place finally. I kind of had them scattered all over. So that was something else that I got, was the 2 binders. I already had the cards that are in them, but I did get the binders. So, and they're super cute. I like her new logo and everything. What else? Oh yeah, I did get one additional thing that is very, very important. Okay. The last thing that I bought, I actually didn't have down here and I had to run upstairs to get it, but it's a very important item and it will be critical to the success of the Denver Broncos next year. And that is my new cowboy hat. I saw it. I couldn't help myself. Okay. I feel like that was a lot. I can't ever tell how long the episode is actually going to be because I feel like I am rambling all over the place, but I also can talk too fast. So who knows? This episode might be 15 minutes. It might be over an hour. We will only find out post editing. Now to the part that people probably really want to know is who is the winner of this yarn journal from the last episode. And just as a reminder, this is what it looks like out of the box. All right, let's see who the winner is going to be. Congratulations. If this is you, please email me at flashyourknits@gmail.com with your address information, and I will get this yarn journal shipped out to you. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, I have another giveaway just to say thanks and to celebrate the very unexpected success of that first episode. I am giving away the Tropical Doodle Card Deck by Pacific Knit Co. This includes 24 motifs that you can use to create doodle patterns. Just as a quick look on the inside here, Jamie, the owner, she's done a really good job designing these. And there's actually some instructions on these little cards that actually tell you how to make the cowl and everything. But she has base doodle patterns on her site that work, or they're on Ravelry too, that work with any of these card decks. So if you want to win this deck of doodle cards, comment Tropical Doodle in the comments below, and we'll do the same thing next time, and I'll use a random picker and we'll pick a winner. That is all I have for you in this episode. Thank you for being here. Feel free to leave comments below if you have questions or anything, and I'll respond to them in the next video. See y'all.